What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're going to be going over none other than the Beelzeemon Cups that we are going to be experiencing. I figured it'd be a good way of looking at all the fantastic decks that you might be wanting to consider, especially ones that might just not be optimal for this event in general. So, without further ado, let's get into the video, shall we? So, first off, let's talk about the Beelzeemon Cup. So this event runs from the 17th to the 23rd. So a good week worth, A pre-release tournament for the advanced deck set starter deck 14. The Beelzeemon Cup is here. This tournament is specifically for purple decks only, so please note the following restrictions. Multicolor cards must have purple as one of the colors to be permitted. Single color cards must be purple. This applies to Digi-Eggs, Tamers, and option cards. Join in the fun of the purple themed cards, and participants get this Beelzeemon Cup Ipmon. So, if you get at least 4 of these events in, boom, you get a full playset. Winner gets this fantastic looking Beelzeemon from EX2. So that's a gold stamp. Make it some decent moolah. These will be chase cards. Outside of that, though, this is pre-release promo pack times 8. So this has 2 cards for you. I think these are just the Ipmons. And then outside of that, things you should take into consideration. One, that it's not all stores will allow you to use the starter deck. That is up to the store's discretion. It is a choice between the store and them. They know their rules. They have the rule sets. If the store chooses not to allow the starter deck, you have to respect that. So that is something that needs to be discussed. The starter deck is in a gray area because technically it is not an official release product. It is a pre-release event, so product is not allowed right away. But hey, that is up to the player base itself in large. I mean, some stores allow you to play early after a certain point after the pre-release event. So that's just how this is going to be. Just keep this in mind when you are trying to play the Beelzeemon Cup. So first off, let's break down all 22 decks. Minerva Loop really took more of it going forwards at 11. Then you have Avanimon fall down mode. Then you have also purple hybrid, then purple aggro, Beelzeemon, Titanmon, Minerva Star, and then Minervamon. So this one is Minervamon Loop. I should change that up in a minute. And then Malamyotasman took 1 event. So why are we talking about here? So let's make this loop so people don't get confused. So Minervamon Loop, Avanimon fall down mode, purple hybrid, purple aggro, Beelzeemon, Titanmon, Minerva Star, Minervamon, and Malamyotasman. 22 decks that took first place, winning their, Beelzeemon Cups. So why am I bringing this up? And why was only Beelzeemon 1? Only 2 tops? Well, the rules state, during this cup run, there was a delay in the product. So a lot of the data is skewed and doesn't actually have, the Beelzeemon starter deck as a legal target. So that changes up a lot of the data here in a way that a lot of players won't have. So if your tournaments allow it, this could definitely pop up more. But all in all, I mean, within that time span, this is a good amount of data. 22 decks. I mean, it's not a huge 100 card pool, pulling data from, but enough data here that is 22 decks. I think that's not terrible. So first off, let's take a look at the Minerva Loop deck. So this deck definitely took some tops here. What we can take a look at is some lists do run some interesting techs in them. So let's take a look at the first one here. Let's pop this up. So as you can see, it's 3 Minervamon, 4 Minerva, and then they use Blue Mechamon and Skull Mechamon to kind of just bridge the gap and speed up. As you can also tell, DeathX is going to be a major component of all the decks. I'm going to be saying this straight out. Expect there to be DeathX in decks constantly. This is not a optional thing. This is basically mandatory for this event because of how purple plays out. They either go extremely wide and try to kill you, so that means DeathX really takes advantage and punishes for it, or they are just basically, trying to OTK you in a different way by keeping their stack small, but they can deal a lot of damage. So things you want to take a look at also with the Mervamon or Minerva Loop deck is they do run Pandemonium Flame. This card basically, if hidden security, will make it so that it deletes an unsuspended Digimon, but it also allows them to pop off and create their loop potential by spitting out and then getting bodies on the board and just having to, go from this to this, spit out two of these, spit out, your rush retaliation blockers. So that's what you're going to be expecting for this event. So that's something you really want to take a look at when you're deck building, but consistently, data-wise, a lot of the decks led into this pool. But another route that I saw a lot of players going was teching in the Gatomon to have your Lady Devis be able to come in for a 1-cost evolve, which is a huge tempo because then this becomes an easier climb, especially if you just do this first in raising. Then you bring out, go Lady Devi, and then go into this. It only costs 4 memory at that point, which is not terrible at all. And, expected Jack raids and all that good stuff. And the combo's kind of the same. You're going to pop this to go boom, 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 go wide. That's just how that's going to go. There's no objections on that. I mean, you're going to see this a lot. It's going to be a lot of good stuff, but it's the same loop potential. You're going to expect to see, like I said, Skull Maras and, Blue Maramon and Skull Maramon. Just kind of that cheap bridgeway or some way and form of being able to cheap bridgeway into your stuff. So that's kind of just what you're expecting with this deck. I don't see anything else out of the ordinary with the list, and the deck is kind of self-contained. It's still going to do what it wants to do, and there's no objections to how this deck is going to be played. But you can also go the loop route, which is the Cerberus Mon, Cerberus Mon combo, which is basically using Revival from Darkness to pop your Merva, to play this Merva, or you go play the Cerberus Mon combo is the other route. And that's just how that's going to go. I think objectively wise, the deck's going to do what it wants. So next, let's talk about the next deck, Avanimon Fall Down Mode. You might be wondering where Mastamon is. I checked all 23 Mastamons. All the Mastamon list in this data pool was using anything that wasn't Purple Cup legal. So I think there was one Mastamon that topped, but I could not find the list. So I am sorry about that. If you guys have that, let me know. But Mastamon, you're just going to be playing Maycracker instead and Maykumon just so that you could be able to play. Similar to this list here, just how that goes. So Avanimon, because of the recovery it can give you yourself because you have yellow targets. So as long as that's there in the source, you get a free recovery, which can lead to being some strong plays. Fly Bullet's really good because you can't always respect your opponent to have a, whatchamacallit. Unsuspended Digimon with Trump Sword, so Fly Bullet's a good substitute because, again, you can't always have that yellow source across the board, but you know what? This deck is focusing on recovery and applying pressure, especially since decks like to mill out. If you can slow down their progress, you're actually in a good spot. So I think taking this into account, you're going to be really good there. I mean, same thing here. This is, Avanimon plus Maycracker, and then, Regulamon, and then splashing in 3 Death X's and 1 Odenimon card. This is crazy. So this is another potential there. Remember also that they did actually have access to the purple, Digimon security Digimon rookies. That's a huge skew point because a lot of the data is skewed because of that. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're trying to deck build. Outside of that, you kind of just see a normal trend with it. And as you can definitely see, is Digimon CG guides. Definitely check those people out. They do a lot of work. And then we did get Purple Hybrid, actually. this deck seemed to do really well. And the reason for that is because you're a monocolor deck, you actually get to play around a little bit more, and it's a little bit easier to punish because then you can use Mimis across the board to, when they try to use any option that tries to kill your Digimon, boom, it's going to cost them more. And, you know, you got mats to cycle back pieces, mats to extend plays, and then, you know, you get your normal hybrids tamer that's going to help you out when your Digimon dies. But having the hybrid combo is not a bad deal, especially because then you can just lock them out with Gazes and Psychmons. Tapirmon definitely helps out. But I like the splash of Bagra himself because he's a walking Thoughtseize and a big boss Digimon that they have to answer to. And especially how the format likes to go wide. That Death X isn't really going to do much against Bagra because you can just put the Death X under one of their Digimon. And that's going to really punish them a lot. So I think having this potential is really good. And, I mean, the deck's going to do what it wants to do. I mean, even if you don't go Bagra out, you can dust off that Cherubimon deck that you've been trying to play. Sadly, we do not have access to the Labramon here yet. A lot of stores haven't had this. If you have access to it, congratulations. But you have, like, Impmon, Labramon. So, I mean, it's a really good deck all across the board. Stuff like this option is a really big punishment, especially depending on how the board state goes. This card can helpfully extend your plays. Same with Mirai. Just all good stuff, I gotta say. I have no objections here. You know, people are winning with the deck. So, I mean, hey, if you have access to it, use it, right? Then we have Purple Aggro, which is basically old-fashioned Rookie Rush with security Digimon. Since there are more purple security Digimon now, you can really apply some decent nasty pressure here. What do I mean by that? Well, minus the security rookies, which this deck definitely plays a lot of, you can definitely rush down your opponent with just Rookie Rush style tactics, and then your opponent can't really answer this very easily. And helpfully, you know, you got Death X's and stuff like that, just because. But expect players to be playing Death X's, so what you're really relying on is your security rookies coming in on their turn and really screwing with their math and their, you know, play style. I think all in all, just having Grizzly Wings and stuff like that, anything that just respawns all your Digimon is really good at the end of the day. So, something like that. They all play the same way. They all won because they are a Rookie Rush deck, and they do what they want to do. There's no objections here. There was a Minervamon through this, so this one is technically more Minerva than anything than a Rookie Rush strategy. Then we do have Titanmon taking in some W's here. So it definitely took 2 slots. There was 2 wins with it. So let's take a look at what Titanmon's trying to do here. That means Titanmon is still a viable option, probably even outside there. But we know what Titanmon wants to do. When you discard a card, you instantly gain an extra security check. You know, and then he gains a buff. But then you use, like, this card here, which basically Dragonic Devastation or something like that. It's a 1 cost. You pop one of your Digimon to restand one of your others. So it allows you to multi-attack and deal damage a little bit faster, putting a lot of pressure in. It's just a very powerful deck in general. It's going to expect to see this do well, pretty much. Expect it to do what it wants to do. There's nothing I object to it. I think it's a very solid list here. And then even going this Titanmon. Creepymon, definitely a good spice card, especially in this format, because people are going to be trying to mill, trash, cycle, you know, all the good stuff. So it's going to really apply some decent damage that way. Then we have Beelzeemon. Only a couple lists with it, but they did not run the starter deck. Just so you know, the data here is straight up not related to that. So, you know, you have Beelzeemon's new Beelzeemon with Mervamon. Because this card is a crossheart, you can put it underneath as well. I mean, you use Ignitemon as well. But all in all, the deck's going to do what it wants to do. It's going to self-mill and deal some massive damage and hit hard. The deck's always going to do that. So I got the data from this just very easily. You know, and then you have the old traditional purple route that you can play. Let me double check. Was this have anything of the new? Nope. So, like I said, nothing in the new. The deck's good and do what it wants to do. The deck's always that powerful. So, use the data as you see fit. Then you have Starmon, which is Minerva Star decks. Basically, you're just rushing your opponent down. Your board goes wide enough. There's only one top with it, but that's just because how powerful this deck is. The deck has Fly Bullet, Nail Bone, and Trump Sword to really apply some decent pressure while you spit out some bodies and just really have them hit the floor. You know, you're going to apply a lot of pressure. Gaze slows down most decks, and Mechamon does as well. And you just go wide enough and just go 1, 2, 3. Deal with my retaliations, deal with my BS, or else you lose. So that's kind of how that deck goes. Then we have Mechamon itself. You know, nothing too out of the ordinary here. It's just what you would kind of expect for the deck. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's just how this deck's going to play. You know, 2 Death Acts, Mechamon, and then, you know, your security with, you know, Inkumon Promote. That's just going to rush in. You know, all the good fancy stuff. You know, Jack Raids to extend your plays as the game goes on. And it can be, one of the things about Jack Raids I like is that it could be very much a punishment, especially if players are going to go, oh, I'm going to play Creepymon, Megidramon. That's going to help mill you out, so you're going to lose faster. Well, if you're not planning on milling yourself out, you have access to Jack Raid, and Jack Raid will instantly now punish them because now it extends your plays further, especially in this deck. So it's a good spicy deck. And then finally, we do have the last deck we're going to talk about, and that was Malamyotasman taking one of the cups. So if it gives me that, you know, winner here. Looking across the board, Malamyotasman is just a really good deck in general. You know, being able to get him out by just sacrificing him and just going from there, I think has a lot of potential, and you just have a lot of access to go about it. I think taking a look at these decks, you kind of just, this is one of the few decks I don't fully know about, but I mean, hey, it's Malamyotasman. If you're a fan, definitely go with it. But all in all, I think this is good data here to go and look at and go like, hey, at least now I know which direction I'm going to go with my purple decks. You can definitely play, you know, any purple deck that your heart detects. You know, you play the undead deck. You can play the normal decks. You know, you can play any purple deck you want to, go for it. But these are the decks that had the only win percentages out of all the purple color events. Yes, there wasn't a second round of events for this once JP got that, but that was also in BT-12, so data gets skewed by that, and I'm not going to use data like that. So I think using it for BT-11, which we're physically in, is the best call to action here. So guys, what did you think of my coverage? Let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.